Answer
You
me
go
right
immediately
now.
and make that strategy.
What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Fowl play on Oblivion Express. It's a new one. The last one we had was a re-edit of an existing one. This is a new one. So Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Oblivion Express is the map where we have to destroy trains. They come in from the west, mainly along 2 tracks, and we have to destroy 9 of them to win the game. If we miss more than 1 train on brutal difficulty, we lose the game. Supply can only be generated by destroying turkey that spawn and roam the map. Your allies' supply consumed is added to your own, and each player must individually provide supply for both.
Alright, I think that was the best written description I have of sharing is caring so far. Quite a tricky mutator to explain. Today we have Joni and Edwin home in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Alright, so Edwin home. How do we rank the commanders this week?
The main thing is how supply efficient you can be. There's a lot of economy mutators where it's like who needs the least money to win, but in this one it's just who needs the least supply. Like if you can build turrets, then you can build an infinite amount of them as long as they're good. You won't really sacrifice too much money. Obviously, if you aren't able to get enough supply to build workers, then that does affect your ability to make cannons or turrets or whatever the case may be. Other really good things are just hero units that are good enough to basically solo the mission. The mission itself isn't much harder. There are like the infested turkey waves or some of the trains, but those shouldn't be a huge deal because you've already dealt with the train at that point. So all of its defenders should be gone. You're just dealing with the turkeys, so it's just one more attack wave. If you're able to clear out the train, you should generally be able to clear out the infested turkeys as well, especially if you have good splash damage. So yeah, buildings or good hero units is the main thing you're looking for here.
Okay, what do you think, Joni?
Yeah, exactly the same. Basically, supply efficiency is what you're looking for. It is co-op. Like being cognizant that you have shared supply with a partner is, like the unrankable attribute of like a bit of self-awareness. So yeah, good luck playing this in the shared queue. But no, exactly what ET said.
Sharing is caring after all, including the queue. Alright, let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
So, nothing groundbreaking with Abathur, but as a commander, he is pretty good at operating on low supply. So, you know, doing all the standard stuff in terms of biomass farming, etc., can be achieved pretty straightforwardly with, you know, very, very minimal supply expenditure. I think one of the notable features that took me surprised the first time that I sort of retried this map, as it rolls like once a year, and I think they've changed it slightly, was the infested turkeys that spawn after the. Is it the? I think it's
Third
the
one.
3rd and 6th train.
Yes,
Yeah, third
third
and
and
sixth
sixth.
trains or something like that.
Yes.
The infested turkeys will dive straight for your buildings, so you need to be like on top of them. Toxic nests obviously help there, just keeping your ramps shored up, etc. But yeah, I mean, basically, Abathur is not completely free. You will need to build an army. You will need to expend like a modicum of supply to get him up to speed. But the reality to it is he's got decent tools. Probably playing prestige is based on what army comp you want to play. Ravagers are pretty good on this map. So like whatever you want, basically P0, P2, etc. I had him in A tier.
A tier. What do you think, Edwin home?
Yeah, I think Abathur does pretty well this week for not having a built-in hero. He does have quasi-heroes in the form of Brutalists and Leviathans. I think those do cost like 10 supply each or something like that. So, but if you just build those and a couple Vipers, that's honestly probably enough with the as long as you use your Toxic Nests well. Brutalists do deal splash damage, so against the turkeys they do pretty well. And then you have good mobility with that, with the deep tunnel. So I would probably go P2 since you're not really worried about the gas cost at all because you're going to be limited by supply more than you are resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a relatively straightforward week for him. So I had him in A tier.
Both of you had him in A tier, but I would just like to note that the Ultimate Evolution costs the same amount of supply as the unit you produced it from. So Ultimate Evolution from a roach will cost 2 supply, which is very cheap. Anyway, Abathur A tier. Prestige-wise, second one or No
I guess
prestige?
in theory you could go P3 there then.
Yeah.
Get a
The
ton of
problem is it
units.
takes a while to
No.
get enough biomass for your first Brutalisk.
Yep.
In which case, you'd
Yeah.
probably still camp the train with the spine crawlers for the first one. There won't be infested turkey at that point, but you might have a little trouble getting enough biomass. Anyway, moving on. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak has the mothership, which again is like not technically a respawning automatically hero unit, but it is a very strong hero unit. And he has Alarak, which is a hero unit, but is not actually his strongest unit, which is a little unusual for a lot of the commanders. But the combination of Alarak and the mothership is going to be able to handle most anything. You can also create very powered or supply dense, powerful units in the form of ascendants. You just have like 3 or 4 ascendants, and you can power them up throughout the course of the game by just using any remaining supply into supplicants and then sacrificing them. By the time you've got 10 stacks on ascendants, just a couple psionic orbs basically clears everything on the train's defense, and also deals with turkeys very, very well. So I think he's going to be pretty darn strong this week. I had him in S tier.
S tier. What do you think, Joni?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I agree with all the points that have been made, except for the tier. I had him in A tier, and that is purely because I think that there are commanders this week who are freer. I think that with Alarak on this particular set of mutators, he is not immune to the sort of perennial issue that your ally may simply forget about sharing is caring in particular. And monopolize supply in a manner whereby he simply cannot achieve the ramp required to deal with like later trains, general sort of nuisance waves, etc. So whilst I don't disagree that he is extremely powerful, I don't think he's S tier because I don't think he negates the mutation in the same way that some commanders do.
What do you think about A tier? Epenham. Will you make a case for S tier?
I don't know. I think he's definitely a lot better than the folks I have in A tier because of Mama and Ascendants specifically. Like, Ascendants are some of the best 2 supply units you can get once you get them powered up. It is true that if your ally manages to outrush you on supply, then maybe. But if I remember right, you don't have to like build pylons or anything with foul play, right? Or a turkey hunt. You get the supply. You don't have to actually have, because I know sharing is caring. You have to actually build the supply buildings. But I think with the turkey one, you don't have to. Because what happens, I'd agree on most mutators that involve sharing is caring, because I think there is like 1 or 2 others. The problem is with those, you have to actually have the pylons. So if your ally rushes up a ton of supply buildings and you just don't have the ability to build units when the supply is available, then you're in trouble. But with this, as long as you have the gateways up, then you just, as soon as you have a supply available, you can warp in additional supplicants. And so I don't think you're going to have much of an issue getting the supplicants at least up to 5 or 6 stacks. In which case, I think they're still strong enough. But that would be my main argument. If you don't think that's enough, I understand. He's definitely probably the weakest S. I just thought he was a little bit head and shoulders above the other A people.
Yeah, I'd love to be convinced. I'm not convinced that his power ramp, and I totally agree with what you're saying in terms of like how you achieve the power ramp. I'm not convinced that it is any more robust under this set of mutators than Abathur's is. Like I have the 2 commanders basically very, very similar. Yeah, I think there are a set of commanders here who just deal with this in a completely different manner, which is much more effective and means that you just avoid any potential problems that the mutators may incur. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I tell you what, I'm happy to revisit it later once we've got A tier populated if we want to. But I'm not convinced at the minute.
Okay. I guess we'll put him in A tier for now, and then we'll revisit later if it's S. All right. Prestige-wise, 3rd one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Arcturus, where do we have him?
Right. ESOs, bunkers, P3, S are the notes that I've made for this, and I think that probably quite neatly sums it up. I suspect you could quite happily get away with playing P1 if you wanted to. Contaminated Strike works really well on the waves map. But I think like the reality to it is, as with lots of commanders who play a relatively heavy like static comp on this, yes, with Arcturus there is the requirement to fill the bunkers with something. But they are incredibly supply effective, especially when you're playing P3. So yeah, I've got him in S tier.
What do you think, Ebenholm?
I actually had him in A tier, but I was teetering on S with him. I think it is true bunkers are good. It's just again, yeah, if your ally hogs all the supply and you lose anything, then it's hard to replenish. And the units aren't supply dense in their strength. It's usually, I mean, P3 is decently dense, but it's not to the same extent as like Ascendants would be or something like that, or like a hero unit. They're pretty squishy, and you're going to be losing them if the bunkers go down. I think if you build enough bunkers, though, it should probably be fine. He's definitely very good. Top bars are obviously very good here, but again, you are getting far less Imperial support throughout the game because you are at best, well, unless you're the jerk teammate, you're only getting half the supply you would be getting. So you're not going to have as much Imperial support. But yeah, I don't know. I think S is fine. I had him in A, but I'll go S. I think that's fine.
All right, both of you had him in S. Let's put him in S. I would just like to note that Arcturus is one of those commanders that can really go up in supply really fast. Their workers build faster. They're cheaper. So if you are the Arcturus in the team, you have to be mindful that your ally also needs some supply to get some stuff up. If you are completely ignorant of what your ally needs supply-wise, he might dislike you. He might leave the game. He might start griefing. He might complain that you're taking up all the supply. Be mindful of how much supply you consume as Arcturus, because your ally also needs some if you want him to play. If you don't want him to play, if you don't care, if you feel like you can solo this as Arcturus, just go ahead. Who cares, right? A win is a win. Anyway, both of you had him in S. Let's put Arcturus in S. Prestige wise,
getting him to leave is a great way to get your full 200 supply Imperial support. So, negates one of the mutators right there.
Well, the way Turkey Shoot works is, even if you do get the max 200 supply, by the way, the way Turkey Shoot works is you can go to 400 supply, depending on who your ally is. And once you hit 400 supply, it will decrease over time, because that's how this mutation works. You will need to continuously keep destroying Turkey in order to keep your supply filled. So if you are not destroying enough Turkey, you will go over supply and your units will start taking damage and they will unalive themselves, which is going to be annoying if you have your Earth Splitters in a tight grid and the guys inside, the deeper ones, disappear and you can't refill them because the inner Earth Splitters are completely walled in by other Earth Splitters. So it's this whole mess of trying to fill, either fill the deep ones or just leave them unfilled, which will make them less efficient. Anyway, moving on. Artanis, where do you have him?
Artanis is, Artanis, he likes supply, and his units aren't particularly strong individually. I would probably personally run P1 because High Templar are some of the most power supply dense units you can get as Artanis, so buffing them up more would be good. And then you just have Zealots to hopefully chunk through the trains. I think your main problem is actually going to be DPS to kill the trains on this week, because again, Storms will deal with most of the enemy units pretty easily, pretty readily. P3 to get the Archons is good as well. So I just, if I can run P1, I like to try it. So I'll probably do that. But if you're more of a P3 connoisseur, I think that'll do well here as well. He's not terrible this week. I think he's going to be pretty average. So I had him in C tier.
C tier. What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, pretty similar thoughts. Whilst I would hesitate to call myself a connoisseur, I am certainly a P3 player. I can totally see why sort of P1 High Templars would be a good way of going. Personally, I like having the Space Archons, particularly on maps like this where you can get taken by surprise by sorry, not maps, some of the mutators, where you just have that get out clause of space archons and just drop them as and when you need to. Yeah, that's why my preference is P3, but I don't think this is particularly hard and fast. As ET mentioned, like realistically, like damage output on the trains and sort of not diluting your composition in order that you have both splash damage to deal with infested turkeys, etc., as and when you need it, and enough just general DPS to deal with trains. I think, potentially throw some Tempests in there, but realistically, yeah, High Templars are going to be extremely useful on this mutator. I had him in B tier only because I sort of couldn't see, outside of the obvious supply ramp issue, I couldn't see any sort of really game-breaking shortcomings. But at the same time, I'm totally happy with C tier as well. Like, it's a bit of a finger in the air, so very, very happy with C tier on this one.
A finger in the S? Is that what you said?
Finger in the air.
Oh, okay, okay. I need to clear my ears or something. What do you think, Edwin Home?
I already gave mine a C tier.
C tier? Okay, both of you said C tier. Let's put Artanis in C tier. Prestige-wise, third one?
3 or 1.
Yeah. 3 or 1. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Yeah, so I mean, Dehaka has some extremely good, as we know, extremely good free mechanisms, which are the pack leaders, basically, and they will deal with stuff pretty effectively. Personally, I sort of find, again, on this map, like damage output on trains, if you're not playing the right comp with Dehaka, can be a bit of a problem. I always find that creeper hosts don't do anywhere near as much damage to trains as I want them to. So personally, throw some guardians in there as well. The pack leaders will basically deal with everything, though, that comes your way. Yeah, and obviously you can ramp supply sort of accordingly in order to accommodate your ally with Dehaka, which I think is an important one. So I've got him in S tier. I think he's pretty straightforward this week.
What do you think, Edmund Home?
Yeah, Dehaka is one of those where any supply you do use is nice, but you could honestly probably not even build a single drone the entire game and win. So as long as you just, get your gases, make your pack leader dens, and then have 7 drones remaining, and just win the game from there. I guess you'd have to use supply to get your primal warden in that case. But yeah, he's very, very strong. Pack leaders are great, and yeah, you can go guardians, you can go any units you want if the supply is available, or you can just let your ally hog it, at least for the early game, and easy. So S tier.
S tier. Both of you said S tier. Let's put Dehaka in S tier. How do you deal damage to the trains as Dehaka?
Glevig, and if Glevig's not available, other pack leaders. I think Mervar actually does very good damage to trains. Dekrun's the one who struggles a little bit with train damage, but the swarm hosts locust that Mervar pops off does very, very well. So as long as that fire breath, it's pretty easy.
I think I was going to say, I think Impalers, or I think Guardians are a pretty good solution.
Yeah, Guardians or Impalers.
Yeah, just on the double train waves, I think the Guardians just have a little bit more ease of movement. But yeah, he does have tools. I just find that going mass creeper host on this map can be a problem.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't do that for sure.
Yeah. They're very dense in supply. Anyway, moving on. Fenix, where do we have him?
Fenix is he's good because he's got Caldalis, and Caldalis is very, very strong. As long as it's not an air comp, you could basically just go Caldalis and enough zealots to fully power him up on P2, and then just let your ally have pretty much the rest of the supply. Obviously, you can still build your other champions and whatnot if you need to, but if it's a ground comp, Caldi's going to do pretty much everything you need done for the first half of the game at minimum. And then from there, if your ally isn't using the supply, you can use it, and if they are, they're probably going to be able to help you out. So I don't think he's fantastic, but he's pretty good. Caldalis is a good unit, so I had him in B tier.
B tier. What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, very, very similar views. I think there are probably I think there is possibly an argument to be made here for playing P1, dependent on possibly what obviously, sorry, if you're in the queue, you're not going to know what your ally is playing. But against or with certain allies, there is an argument to be made for playing P1, where you can potentially take up a little bit more army supply, but have the sort of nuke effect of like stronger suit cooldowns. I probably would be inclined to play P2. Sorry. Having said that, I think the only other thing with Fenix, and ET has already mentioned it, is that basically for my money, the reason he's not in the same tier as Abathur and Alarak is there is, as always, a bit of a comp dependency there, which, it doesn't break his game at all, but it does weaken it to the extent that I think he probably suffers enough to lose a tier off it. So I had him in B tier as well.
Okay. So both of you had him in B tier. Let's put Fenix in B tier. Prestige-wise, second one?
Yeah, I think probably,
yeah,
yes.
1 or 2.
Or the first one. Okay. Moving on. Han and Horner. Where do we have them?
So, Han and Horner. I'm going to put this out here. I don't want to hear about it in the comments section.
La 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 la. I am not listening. La 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 la.
I think there is an argument to be made this week for potentially playing P3, because it gives you like more strike fighter platforms to play with. The problem with Han and Horner is they are very supply reliant. And therefore, regardless of whether you choose P1 or P2, you are still going to need to be like ramping up pretty swiftly, actually, in this instance. Having said that, some of their comps do quite a lot of damage to trains, like Reapers wreck trains pretty hard. I think strike fighter platforms, in order to enhance that, are probably a good thing. The reality to it is they are affected by the mutator. Their cooldowns are also, however, pretty useful, just because of the manner in this map is formed, whereby basically everything comes out of 2 channels. So they've got tools, but they are going to fall foul to the mutator to a certain extent. I had them somewhere between B and C tier.
Foul, because foul play, get it?
That was genuinely completely unintentional, but there we go.
What? Come on. We would have believed you. You would have believed you. All right. What do you think I'd put home?
Yeah, I think they're bad. I think the problem with P3 is by the time you've built your 10th strike fighter platform, your ally has all of the supply in the game, and you can't build anything else anyways. So, yeah, I think they're pretty bad this week. I had them in D tier, but I was kind of teetering on E tier for them, honestly.
What do you think about D or E tier, Joni?
That's interesting. That is lower than I had them. I'm trying to. Why are they that low?
They are very supply dense.
They're already weak when they aren't supply capped, and they're going to be supply capped.
Yeah, this is true.
And they don't have static defense for random turkeys walking into the base, and then all of a sudden you find that half of your workers are dead.
Yeah, well, it's like if they were a Dehaka strength commander normally, and then they got hit by supply problems, then maybe they'd be better. But as it is, they're already like tied for the weakest, if not the weakest commander in the game, and they are a heavy supply reliant commander. So for me, I think that makes them pretty terrible.
I think that, if your ally is monopolizing supply, are you okay with just bomber platforms? Yeah, probably. Their cooldowns
cost supply.
Yeah, but it's not. What is it? Is it 4?
I think it's 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's not a huge amount, but no, I mean, look, I can totally see the arguments. They are not great. Are they? I mean, they're not. I don't think they're too worse than Artanis, but are they worse than Artanis? Possibly. Yeah, put it this way, I'm certainly happy with like C or D tier for them. They are a bit of a. These are one of the commanders that I found quite difficult to rank this week because I wasn't entirely sure. So yeah, I'm perfectly happy to put them. What would you prefer, ET, C or D tier?
I'd say D. I think Artanis, you do have High Templar are a supply efficient unit. Haunted Hornet doesn't really have that. And bombing platforms, at least in my opinion, are garbage against trains. They do like almost nothing to trains. Even with the burning, it's not really very helpful. So you might be able to deal with units somewhat.
Reapers are pretty punchy against trains, though.
Right, but they're not supply efficient. They're if you have a lot of Reapers and you have some Horner units to make them shoot faster, then Reapers are pretty good. But just like 10 Reapers is not going to do anything.
No, I appreciate 10 Reapers is not going to do a lot. Yeah, no, okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, let's put them in detail. I think I'm convinced they're not as good as Artanis. Yeah.
Okay, let's put Haunted Hornet in D tier. No prestige recommendation because D tier is considered bad. Karax, where do you have him?
Karax has turrets and top bar, neither of which cost supply. So you basically just need to get like even just one base of economy to kind of get your upgrades up quickly for your top bars and your turrets, and then build turrets all day. A second base would be nice to build more turrets, but it's probably not even essential. And you win the game very easily. So I had him in S tier.
What do you think, Joni?
Yes, exactly the same. Like, he basically requires 0 supply. All you need to do is get your eco up and running, and then it's sort of playing P1 Karax on this map is basically cheating. I think I can't remember what the other Mutation is called, which is sort of Void Rifts, Blizzard, and Reanimators or something like that. That's the one. It's like a +6, super hard. And again, it's one of those ones that, like, how you play that with Karax is effectively the model for how you should play anything with Karax if you can on this map. So, like, yeah, he just...
That one requires 3rd prestige almost. Coldest Void requires 3rd prestige because you need the energy to snipe the Void Rifts. This one you can go 1st prestige and you'll be totally fine.
Yeah, I think you can certainly. I've got an OA with playing 1st prestige on the other as well, because then you use the chrono wave to just put your turrets into absolute turbo. But yeah, I put it this way: I don't think Karax is going to have too many problems this week, regardless of what you choose, as long as it's probably not P2. So S tier.
Okay. What do you think, Edmund Home?
Yeah, S tier. Yeah.
Okay, so both of you have Karax in S tier. Let's put Karax in S tier. Where do you prefer, if you would use the 1st prestige, where do you prefer to use the super kernel, on the double train or on the infested turkey wave? Because the only threat I can see to Karax's static defense are the infested turkey. If they split up,
yeah, you've got
head to your expansion. Top bar.
You can solar lance. You can use the purification beam.
So you'll save the purify beam for the infested turkey.
I personally think if you're using P1 Karax, like, that chrono wave is so powerful that the reality to it is you're able to basically preserve so much top bar energy as a result of it that you can basically do whatever you like against the infested turkeys.
Okay, if you say so. Let's put Karax in S tier. 3rd prestige or 1st prestige either is fine. Let's move on. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Yeah, so I mean, Kerrigan's very good because she's got a very powerful hero unit. I think that I'd be very inclined to play P2 this week for what is effectively additional splash damage. The reality to it is that, particularly because of the double train waves, the utility of a mobilization wave is diluted slightly. Or at least I feel it is, because you hit one train wave and then you've got another one to deal with. Having said that, like, she's also got some pretty decent tools to help. Her lurkers, whilst not amazing, are pretty good against trains. Similarly, like, she actually does have semi sort of respectable unit comps that can deal with quite a lot of stuff. She does have the standard Kerrigan issue of, like, anti-air problems, and like this map can be pretty punishing, actually, particularly if you roll like I can't remember what the comp is called exactly, but the Protoss comp that involves lots and lots of carriers.
There are two of
You know,
them. There's the Hope of the Kali, which have scouts and oracles. There's another one called Fleet of the Matriarch, which have arbiters and corsairs.
it's Fleet of the Matriarch is what I rolled when I was testing this, and the arbiters just make it even more punishing if you're not like really on top of stuff. Having said that, obviously Kerrigan's also got Omega Worms, which do massively help on that. But yeah, like, you know, aside from that, and I'm not sure, does it dilute her to such an extent that it knocks her out of A tier? Not sure. I'll sort of let ET judge on that. I had her in A tier despite a bit of an air comp issue, I think.
What do you think, Edwin Helm?
Yeah, I think the air comp is potentially an issue. I think you'll be able to overcome it. If you have supply available, Mutalisks annihilate carriers because they deal full splash damage with the upgrades. If you don't, then Kerrigan, I think, with P2 or P3 or P0 is going to be able to just hop in and out of Omega Worms. You can charge up stacks of Fury if you're P2 on an Omega Worm towards the back, and then leap in, deal a bunch of splash damage, stun a bunch of the carriers. So I don't think it's too much of an issue in my experience usually. And if you aren't building much in the way of army, then you can build just a truckload of Omega Worms and just endlessly stall the enemy units. So you can regen as much as you need to. So unfortunately, I do think she's not quite S tier. But yeah, I'd say A tier.
All right. A tier for Kerrigan. So no prestige, second prestige, or third prestige is what you said?
Yeah, I'd say so. You want the Omega Worms. P3, if you're worried about the carriers, obviously does pretty well. Hopping in and out of Omega Worms and just casting Kinetic Blast on any of the carriers.
But how about...
But for pretty much any...
Hear me out here. How about first prestige and have the creep tumors on the edge of the high ground so that they'll still have enough creep on the low ground for your lurkers to be basically machine gun lurkers and fire at breakneck speed? How do you feel about that?
That's true, but if it is a carrier comp, then now you don't have...
That's also true.
You don't have Omega Worms to tank, and you still aren't great against air, would be my main,
Doesn't the
my main
mobilization
gripe
wave...
with that.
It doesn't destroy
I don't think it
them.
outright kills a carrier.
Yeah, but it'll be low enough health. They're not stronger.
Maybe.
I guess the main... for me, in my opinion, the main threat with Hope of the Kali are the oracles. They deal so much damage when there are like 20 of them in that wave. Have you tried fighting that? Insane. 20 oracles or something? Crazy.
A mobilization wave would take care of those for sure. But I don't know. I think you could go P1. I like having the Omega Worms for tanking and mobility, but obviously you don't need mobility as much on this map because everything comes through a pretty tightly knit area.
I was going to say, I think on this map it's more for the tanking, I reckon. But like, I do totally agree. I think P1's like very viable and it does make lurkers incredible. But yeah, I'd be inclined not to, but I can absolutely see how a good enough player would make it work.
It's fun too, so to sometimes mix it up. It's kind of funny to see it attack really fast. Anyway, Nova. Oh wait, Nova. Where do we have him?
Nova. Well, Nova has a hero unit. She's not one of the best hero units, but she does fairly well. Shotgun's going to be quite nice against the infested turkeys, and Snipe's going to be pretty good against the Turking. So that's nice and all. I think Nova. She's one of the commanders with only 100 supply available, if I remember right, which does hurt slightly on this mutator. Compared to like some of the other 100 supply, or the main one of the Zeratul, as we'll talk about later, it hurts her more because she actually likes to build units and not necessarily just turrets. But you could go mass turret on this map with Nova in theory. Her shotgun turrets aren't the worst, especially against turkeys and things like that. Liberators are relatively supply dense, so if you can just get like 2 pairs of Liberators out, I think that's enough to kill the trains, and then Nova and airstrikes obviously are going to do pretty well against all the enemy units, so I think she's pretty strong this week. I had her in A tier, but I could see an argument for S. I don't know if Johnny's going to make it, but I could see it.
What do you think, Joni?
I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to go there. I'm not bold enough. No, I totally agree with everything ET said. Like she is very strong against the trains. My main reason for always being quite reticent to put anything which is not like heavy P3 Nova reliant into S tier is that I find keeping her units alive really consistently, particularly against like difficult comps that counter them effectively, is mechanically like challenging in some instances. I appreciate that's a me issue and not a game issue. But like, yeah, I think, you know, it is one of those ones that she's gonna do pretty well. Absolutely see her in A tier. I think that when you look at the commanders we've got in S tier, they are significantly easier to play than Nova in terms of like keeping units alive and stuff.
Okay, so A tier for Nova.
That's my vote. Yeah.
All right.
Yep, I think that works.
Prestige wise, first one or third one? First one, right? There's no need for a third one.
I think P1. Yeah.
All right. Remember the Nova bug where you need to produce the first unit quickly so that the prestige activates. Get your fiat out as quick as possible. Tutu has a video of him showing off a new build. Basically, you go 2 gas before any workers. That's his new build for Nova. 2 gas before any workers. Kind of wild. Anyway, moving on.
I beat him to it. I've done that for a long time.
Moving on. Raynor, where do we have him?
So, Raynor is another sort of tricky one. I found like his damage basically directly scales with his supply of stuff and not in a manner which does him any favors on this mutator. He has got some useful tools like spider mines, for example. Yes, they're still going to cost you a bit of supply to get, to get the vultures out in the first place, but not a huge amount. But the reality to it is that doing like consistent high damage to trains in particular, I think is going to be quite a challenge for Raynor this week. It also doesn't help that his best option in terms of like a pure damage comp is P3 and looking at really escalating getting mech, getting like air units out so that he can increase his top bar or decrease his top bar cooldowns enough to get them out more regularly. And that is going to be not only a very supply intensive strategy, but it's also one which doesn't like scale particularly quickly. So I think Raynor's going to struggle a bit this week. I had him like D to E tier.
D to E tier. What do you think, Edwin?
Yeah, Raynor likes supply. He's able to make a lot of money, but he's not able to make like super supply efficient units with it. Yeah, it's not a terribly great week for him. I think probably your best bet is just mass vulture with tons of spider mines, and as long as you're against a ground comp, that'll actually do fairly well because spider mines only cost money, and you can replenish them with vultures, so you don't have to make a ton of them. If you have 10 vultures, eventually you'll get a lot of spider mines just off of those. So I think that's probably his best bet. I'm not sure how good that makes him. I think against ground comps it makes him decent, but against air comps, obviously, now what? So yeah, for that reason, I had him in D tier.
Okay. Raynor. Both of you said D tier. Let's put Raynor in D tier. Moving on to someone who's not D tier, Stetboy. Where do we have him?
Stetmann has Gary, and then he has Super Gary, and then he has Best Buddy Super Gary, which is basically capable of soloing. So combined with Green Zone and Blue Zone. So Stetmann is extremely strong this week. You can make some decently supplied efficient units with him, like infestors, lings that just constantly regenerate. So you don't have to though, but you could make any amount of supply into any of those units, and then just Gary will do most of everything. So had him in S tier.
What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, totally agreed. I think that you. Sorry, I'm sort of smirking slightly because I like as much as you can make really supply efficient units. Like his lings are obviously amazing. Um, you don't have to the extent that you can just build like, why not build the odd broodlord for fun? Like P2 Gary is basically so punchy that you can kind of do whatever you want, like with the rest of your eco, and you'll be absolutely fine. Like build a spore forest because it's an air comp. Like just have some fun with it. Treat yourself. Yeah, I had him in S tier.
All right, both of you had Stetboy in S. Let's put Stetboy in S tier. Second prestige. Stukov, where do we have him?
So this is where we get our revenge to a certain extent.
Vengeance will be mine!
Although I've been slightly had my thunder stolen by P1. I was really looking forward this week to sort of castigating everyone that's been really enjoying playing P3 recently, and ranking him really poorly. But P1 exists and is what you're probably going to want to use unless you don't want your ally to like quit immediately. P1 tanks are extremely good. P1 Diamondbacks give him a bit of mobility. They do give him a necessary option against air units. But the reality is you're going to get most of your damage output from tanks. There is still a bit of a ramp here, but in effect, you can effectively play, very much like static. And get away with it, which is really annoying because I wanted to put P3 in F tier and I can't now. So yeah, I've don't get me wrong, like P1 is still supply dependent. So it's certainly not S tier or anything like that. I had him in B tier. I think he does have tools. It is completely manageable. His top bars are pretty decent. But he is still going to be using a load of supply, and he doesn't have, that sort of one turbo powerful hero unit. So I've got him in B tier, but it is entirely conditional on playing P1.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we don't talk about Stukov P2, right? It's always the best prestige, not the worst one. Come on. What do you think, Edwin?
Yeah, I think P1 is probably the way to go. There is you are losing out on the actually free supply-wise units on the colonist compound that way, but I don't think that's enough to really make it worth going P0. Because I was thinking maybe you just go P0 with some barracks and just spam out infested marines when you need them, and then you do have it's 64 infested at a time, right, from the compound. But I think it's probably still better to just go P1 and go like Diamondbacks. And I think he'll do okay. But yeah, he's certainly not carrying anything this week. I had him in B tier.
He's carrying a lot of supply. That puts him in B tier. Okay. First prestige. Moving on. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann is incredibly good this week. He has the laser drill, which is helpful, especially the top bars, or if you want to go P1 to help with the turkeys with the splash damage, the infested turkeys, you can do that. But I don't think that's needed because you have perdition turrets. So I'd go P2. Perdition turrets will
barbecue
the turkeys pretty easily, and
Dude,
you'll have a very
it's
you'll
right
have
there.
a very easy time. No one barbecues turkeys. I mean,
I don't know. I don't eat turkey, anyway. So but it's right there. Roast them, burn them, fry them.
You'll have a nice Thanksgiving dinner of turkeys with your perdition turrets. Yeah, turrets very good. Laser drill pretty darn good as well. Especially the top bars can be handy. So I'd go P2. You could go P1, and you just spam turrets and easy game. So S tier.
Easy game, easy life. What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, well, aside from being very bewildered by all of these people talking about eating roast turkey a month too early,
I don't eat turkey at all. It's not a thing in the Philippines.
You're missing out.
Thanksgiving's not a thing in the UK, but maybe I'll roast a turkey in honor anyway. But Swann has a great time this week. Totally agree with ET. I think probably P2 is going to be the way to go. Despite the fact that ordinarily I'd probably play P0 on this map just because cooking attack waves with concentrated beam is always quite fun. in reality, you're going to want stuff which is going to deflect infested turkeys and stuff like that. So just put perdition turrets everywhere you like, or flaming betties or whatever they're called, and like roast away basically. So had Swann in solid S tier.
Solid S tier. He is very Swann solid. S for solid. Prestige wise, even first one is fine. First one, second one, no prestige. Even third one is fine because like the units that you'll make are independent of prestige anyway. But yeah, sure, anyone will be S. Moving on, Tychus. Where do we have him?
So, Tychus is very good. He is not very supply dependent at all. The key problem that you will run into with Tychus is that your ally will forget that you have to use supply at all, and will supply cap you so that you can't get future outlaws out. If he does that, just start killing some of his army and free up supply. Possibly tell him what you're doing.
Are you advocating for team killing? We don't do that here.
Well, I think it's the power.
Cancel that man. Editor, put a no sign, put a no, cancel sign on Johnny's face for the rest of the video. Just do it. Put a cancel sign on his face. He's cancelled for the rest of this video.
I will make the excuse that the power ramp that Tychus gets from getting his own outlaws out is so beneficial to the team effort that it's all in the spirit of achieving a unified goal. But no, I mean, look, P2 is very strong as always. Play P2. It's extremely straightforward. He plays completely like normal. S tier.
S tier. What do you think, Edwin Home?
Yeah, I think the alternative to murdering your teammate, as fun as that is that on most of the trains, right, they drop.
You can just kill more turkey to free up more supply.
Yeah, kill more turkeys. Yeah.
Well, they drop a particularly large amount of turkeys from each of the trains, so you just make sure you have the money available right when you kill the train, and then pop out one or two, however many are available.
Joining with the Thanos mentality, you can just double the resources. Why half the population? Johnny being Thanos here.
Just now and again.
I think you're right. I think just when you kill a train, you can pop out whichever mercs are available. Just make sure that you're banking money for that, and you don't spend them all on upgrades right before then, and that'll probably be the easiest time to get your mercs out. But also, you can just kill turkeys outside of that time as well, usually. So S tier.
All right, S tier, unanimous S tier. Second prestige is fine. Moving on, Vorazun. Where do we have him?
She's basically does have a fairly decent train fighting mechanic in time stop, dropping down mass DT, and then obviously the time stop bug as well. Outside of that, she's actually fairly supply efficient. Vorazun, you aren't typically getting maxed out very quickly regardless. So you can make mass DT, you can make a lot of Corsairs if it's enemy air. Although I might just make mass DT and hope that my ally makes anti-air in that case. But DTs do well for killing the trains and everything else. And you have time stop, like I said, you have Shadow Guard to help with that. So I think she's pretty good. I had her in A tier.
Alternatively, you can make it extra painful for both of you by going Dark Templar and then mass mind controlling so that you're constantly oversupply with... Actually, you can even make it even worse. Play against Zerg, do mass mind control, and mind control things like roaches, like singular Zerglings, then burrow them at the back of the base to make it extra painful if you want an extra challenge, and if you want extra annoying to your ally. By the way, just last commander, I was just saying we don't do that here. Cancel me too.
Apparently, that's what you need to do if you're paired with a Tychus.
Cancel me right now. What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, sort of using your spare outlaw to deal with all of the additional mind-controlled units, which are just useless. No, I completely agree. She is extremely good against trains. Bugs aside, actually, time stop massively helps on this map. Anyhow, her ramp is slow enough that realistically, making sure that you've got supply available between yourself and your ally, particularly for Vorazun, is probably not going to be too much of a drama, because you're more likely to be waiting on gas than waiting to find turkeys to deal with. So yeah, she's pretty strong. I had a sort of A to B tier, so I'm perfectly happy with her in A tier. Yeah.
Okay. Vorazun 8 here. She has 1 prestige. There we go. Zagara, where do you have him?
So, Zagara's sort of an interesting one this week. Like, you will not be thanked by your ally for playing P1. Which I'm sort of very aware that the vast majority of players that you encounter on the ladder who are playing Zagara will play P1. And like on paper, P1 is pretty good for this mutation. But the reality to it is if you are playing P1, you are going to be largely soloing it because the speed with which he builds an army up simply won't allow your ally to ramp. Like at all for the sort of a decent portion of the game. So my personal sort of thing would be probably play P3. Although actually on this I could see an argument for playing P2 as well. I would suggest that a decent spread of bile launchers on both train tracks is probably going to help out quite significantly on this as well. They are static, they are supply free at least, which is good. And then making judicious use of the Zagara's like cooldowns, so roach drops, etc., is also going to help out. So I think she does have tools to deal with this, but I don't think she's brilliant. I think damaging trains is going to be, a bit of or more of a problem than some. So I had her B to C tier.
B to C. What do you think, Edpenholm?
I actually think P3 is pretty good here. Its main downside is your units cost more. Well, we don't care because supplies are a limiting factor anyways.
Yes.
I think you can basically kill every wave with just Zagara and her abilities on P3, and then you just have some lings. I mean, 3/3 cracklings with the armor shred
claws
are going to kill trains super efficiently. I guess you run the risk of if you lose Zagara, you're in trouble, but you shouldn't ever with Deep Tunnel and just her regen. You should be fine. And then in your free banelings, you can send those in to deal with the enemy unit waves as well. Scourge are actually a pretty supply efficient way to deal with air as long as they're clumped up, which usually they will be because that's just how the AI works. So I actually had her in A tier. I think she's pretty good this week. Don't go P1 and you'll be doing pretty well.
What do you think about A tier, Joni?
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I think everything ET said makes complete sense. Like,
also, wait, sorry, mass bio launcher on the high ground obviously is very good as well.
Yeah,
and very supply
I
efficient.
was about to say not on the train tracks, on the high ground, because they have enough.
Oh no, sorry, I meant aimed at the tracks from the high ground. Sorry,
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, uncancel that man now.
Just about redeemed himself, but yeah, sorry. Yes, obviously put the static on the high grounds all the time. But no, I can see that. I think that's completely reasonable. And I dug my heels in about Alarak earlier, so I'm certainly happy to seed this one. Happy to have Zagara in A tier.
Okay, Zagara 8 here. Moving on, Zeratul. What do we have him?
I mean, it feels like a broken record, but every week, its cannon's good. Zeratul doesn't need to make like hardly any units. You make a few probes, I guess, for some mineral income to make more cannons, and you win the game extremely easily. S tier very easily.
And remember to do the artifact cage, so that's easier to get the artifact fragments. What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's well worth caging the artifact on this map. There are some maps where it's kind of, general travel distance, and I always find if I don't cage it, sometimes you can get it lost on this one, and I just, for whatever reason, this map, sometimes it's harder to find than with some others. So definitely cage the artifact on this. But yes, in general terms, like cooldown's great, cannon's great. If there's any supply left over, you can still build, immortals, etc. towards the end as well, which are also great. But he's basically got everything going for him this week. S tier.
Okay. Zeratul S tier. Prestige wise, what do we want here?
Two.
Second one? Alright. Do we have a double S this week?
I mean, Zeratul basically plays as normal. You can You're massing cannons. You don't care about supply at all, and you're caging the artifact. I guess in theory, if you're being nice, you can kill turkeys so your ally doesn't starve to death. But that's not even essential, really. You could probably win without killing a single turkey.
So double S Zeratul?
Outside of the train waves, I think yeah, probably.
What do you think, Johnny?
I'm almost inclined to suggest that for basically the same reasons that Swann has a shout for double S this week as well. Like, if you're playing P2, he's really not doing anything other than building static at more or less at home, really.
How about Karax then?
The only reason I'm slightly more reticent about Karax is that Swann's Flaming Betties destroy infested turkeys really quickly. They destroy buildings very quickly. So my concern, I guess, I suppose you're top barring them down anyway with Karax, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably even more margin for error with Swann, but yeah, with Karax, you still shouldn't have any problem with them. But he was another one that I think, yeah.
Do any of them have any sort of trouble with the Turk King?
It's not that strong. It's only got 4,000.
Yeah. I think Zeratul certainly doesn't because he has the hero unit that the other two don't. I don't know. I think, Swann probably has the most trouble. But yeah, Zeratul definitely has like no trouble with that, I don't think.
So Zeratul's the only double S?
I wouldn't say any of them have enough of a problem with it that it's really significant. I may be getting this wrong, but I don't think it is overly destructive against buildings specifically, is it?
It's very annoying to kill when everything else is going on, but fair point.
But if it's just 500 damage versus structures.
Oh, okay. So it's actually quite so that is gonna be an easy. Maybe it is just Zeratul then. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
All right.
I mean, look.
With the power of movie magic, we have a double S. Zeratul. Who's top of S? So these two, right?
Yeah, Karax and Swann.
In which order?
I think I would put Swann above Karax personally.
So he's better Karax
he does have
this week.
The free splash damage. Yeah, the perdition turrets. Like, yes, Karax has top bar splash damage, but it's not as you have to look and click the button to use it.
Sure.
And you don't have to do that with Flaming Betties. So I guess that. I think Stetmann and Dehaka probably after that.
Yes.
And then
which order?
Tychus. Stetmann above Dehaka, I think.
Yeah, Stetmann above, and then Tychus, then Arcturus, I think.
All right. If it weren't for Turkey Shoot and Sharing is Caring, Arcturus would probably be double S. Because the supply really makes it annoying for not for him specifically, but for his ally. Top of A tier.
Alarak, yeah, and then.
Oh yeah, we forgot to revisit. Do we move Alarak up to S tier, or does he just stay?
We've got enough going on in S tier. I think it's probably fine.
All right,
doesn't matter too much.
Who's second A?
I think Abathur, and then. I think probably just this list really is good.
Kerrigan is slightly blonder than Nova.
Kerrigan might need to drop, I guess. I don't know.
I was wondering actually, is Vorazun blonder than Nova this week as well?
I think so, maybe. Yeah, I think maybe just put Vorazun, swap her with Kerrigan, put Kerrigan below Nova, maybe.
Like this,
and then you're good. Yeah, Airstrike is pretty nice.
Yeah. All right, Airstrike is pretty nice. Cost 0 supply. All right.
Yep.
Who is top of B tier?
I think how it is good.
All right.
Yeah, I still desperately want to put Stukov in F tier, but I'm
S tier. You said S tier?
No, F tier.
Stukov. Welcome back, buddy. Yeah, and then I think Han and Horner above Raynor as well, probably.
Really? Yeah, Han and Horner above Raynor?
Actually, no. Spider Mines. Never mind.
Yeah, Spider Mines exist.
Yeah, Spider Mines. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
I was like, whoa, wait a minute. All right. I think that's good enough. Guys, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else I could do, please leave in a comment. I will see you guys next time.